Greetings, it is I, Cantus Naravan Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome. It is time to continue our discussion on Shadowrun. When we last left off, we of course were talking about magic and the Awakened world. Today, I'm going to dive into a new world, the wireless world, the world of the Matrix. So, when we want to talk about the Matrix, we have to talk about a little history first. 2029, a computer virus infiltrated the system and brought down the majority of computers in the world, almost bringing it to a crashing stop. But out of this, the first Matrix was born. And it existed and spread for some time until 2064, when another viral attack brought down this Matrix. So now we've entered Matrix 2.0, a new kind of world, and this is not the Matrix of old. This is a matrix of augmented reality and wireless connections. Almost everyone that's out there has some kind of connection to it. They're always online with the comlinks on their bodies, connecting them to the various wireless networks out there. Augmented reality is everywhere, and those that aren't perceiving it are missing out on a big chunk of life as it is now. It gives access to people, Matrix data, in their very real lives right away. Now, for Shadowrunners, the ones that manipulate the wireless world are called hackers. They dive into and manipulate the Matrix data to their proper needs. That's not the only ones, though. There are technomancers, children of the Matrix, an evolution that has been brought about by this wireless world. They can access and manipulate the wireless data and the Matrix with their minds alone. Both of them, though, are vital to Shadowrunning teams when it comes to manipulating the wired and wireless worlds. They're the ones that gather a lot of data, disable security, control drones, and in this new wireless world, of course, they can travel with teams, unlike the olden days where they had to jack into somewhere, so oftentimes they would sort of stand back in hidden places, enhancing and helping out their teams. The Matrix of 2070 is a near infinite number of overlapping mesh networks that sort of connect together. That's the easiest way to describe it. Augmented reality has reached a point in time where it can give extra perceptions to an incredible degree. You can have not only sight, but you can hear things, smell them, or perhaps even touch them. Meaning that it's going to not give you all these extra senses as you're traveling along and perceiving these augmented reality. This is not to be confused with virtual reality, which does a lot of the same senses, but overrides your senses. That's overriding it. In this case, it's overlapping it, giving you these senses with whatever normal ones you would have. Now, another way of describing the Matrix is a vast network of nodes. The smallest and simplest node is the individual one representing your comlink on your person. This is your personal area network, your PAN. This is you. This is you as a wireless individual and a wireless being. You then would link together with your office terminal or your home terminal, and you'd create a small basic network there. This little network here connects with other networks nearby and continues to link them together in an area, creating a telecommunication net. These nets function as the backbone of the Matrix. Now, every device you're going to have has a basic number of statistics, just like a character. You have first, for a device, response and signal. These are going to represent the hardware of your device. Next up is going to be system and firewall. This is going to describe your system's operating system, or OS, the program that's running most of the stuff in it. Most devices are going to start at a standard rating, and you're going to assume that rating is built into the device, though you could, of course, always get customized ratings. Now, also, programs will have a rating appropriate to how powerful it is. Every program you're going to have will have a rating, and its rating will tell you basically how good it is at doing its job. I'll talk about programs and ratings a little more later on. Now, every Shadowrunner has the basic computer skills to enter the Matrix, do basic searches, do everything that a person in this modern world would be able to do. Though, When you talk about the computer and data search skills, those are more in-depth uses of them. You're learning a lot more than the average person would know. You're assuming that anything kind of a basic person, if you compare it to more of a modern day now, any person born nowadays would have a basic use of the computer that they would learn just naturally through their life. That's what you're going to assume most people are going to have a level of in the Matrix. Getting any of that skills is something that's going to make you much more powerful at doing it. And most of either hackers or technomancers or Shadowrunners that use the Matrix a lot more are going to have to take those skills and dive into it deeper. Now, when you're going onto the Matrix, or when you're manipulating the Matrix, you're going to have a persona. Your persona is what everyone who's in the Matrix or looking for you is going to represent of you. It's going to be personalized to whatever you like, or just a standard that comes with the system depending on whatever you're using. Now, everyone in the Matrix has an access code. You think of this as a telephone number. This is what people would track you with, and this is where a problem with a lot of Shadowrunners come in, and a lot of times they will either effectively shut off the wireless capabilities of their comlinks in order to prevent themselves from being tracked and leaving a signal. Now, when we're talking about nodes that you might be accessing, the majority of public nodes, think of them like web pages. They're places that you can enter into the Matrix and you have no problem. They're public. They're just like you can go to a web page. On the other hand, more private nodes will oftentimes have security linked to them, where you might have to put in some kind of access code or have some kind of access granted to you with a key that you'd have access to this node. And depending on what you're granted might mean also different levels of access to that node. You might only have a certain level that you can enter into with the code you're given, when other people with a higher code might be able to access more of that node's capabilities because they have higher access to it. So it's just not a matter of having the ability to get into that node if it's private. It's also how much you can dive into that node in the first place. What kind of level of clearance do you have? Now, there are, of course, a number of actions which are unique to the Matrix that you'd only use there. If you are playing around with augmented reality, though, you can choose to use any of your normal skills you would in real life, or those Matrix actions at the same time. It gives you the options of using both of them, that you do not necessarily need to go full VR in order to use the Matrix actions. Now, when it's calling for your tests in these actions, the dice you're going to roll are traditionally going to be, of course, your appropriate skill plus your appropriate attribute. Though, you oftentimes can replace your attribute with whatever rating of appropriate program would be on your comlink that you're using in this situation. So you'd still use your skill, but use the program in place of your attribute. Sometimes that is better. So that's it for today. I introduced you to the wireless world, the world of the Matrix in 2070. I introduced you to the basics of the world, a lot about how it works, and the kind of things you're going to encounter. In the next episode, I'm going to talk about the very basics of hacking and Matrix combat, and then dive a little farther deeper into both augmented reality and your comlink, your personal device as a whole. So if any questions, comments, anything you want to say, anything you think I left out, please leave it in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. It shows you're for the channel, the empire, the work I do. If you want to show some extra support, you could always check out my Patreon, link to the description below. But regardless, until the next time, I bid you farewell.